Hello, and welcome to PremiumBytes, where we shine a light on the unsung world of insurance technology leaders. I am Sudhar one of your co-hosts, and with Samir Ahmed, our other co-host, we're here to have meaningful conversations about the evolving technology landscape inside the insurance industry. Let's acknowledge it. Being an insurance firm CIO or Chief Information Officer is one of the toughest leadership roles in today's world. You've got a risk-averse mindset baked into the very fabric of the industry, a legacy estate that must complement the modern tech, and a talent crisis from both the retiring side and next-gen recruiting side. And then you got the slower pace of innovation. We see it because we're right there in the trenches with you as consultants day in and day out. Our mission is to deep dive, have conversations that carry substance, offer practical insights, and help you validate and navigate the relevant challenges of being an effective CIO in the insurance sector. So thank you for joining us on this adventure. Let's jump right into our next conversation.
Good afternoon, Samir.
Hey, Sudhar. Good afternoon.
Welcome back to yet another episode of PremiumBytes. Excited to be towards the end of the year here, and what looks like to be maybe the last formal recording, maybe one more if we can, but looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to believe we're in December and towards the end of the year. I think we may have one more episode. Fingers crossed. So look for that right around the New Year's time frame.
Yeah, looking forward to today's discussion because after a beginning of the whole podcast journey with AI, now we're coming full circle back, and we're now brought back the AI topic all over again. I think between us, we stumbled on this wonderful BCG report that piqued our interest around AI and value of AI, and more importantly, how is it relevant for insurance? And I'm looking forward to today's discussion on this interesting topic.
Yeah, so absolutely right. It's a fascinating sort of report in many ways, and we can maybe start with what the report is, and you already mentioned it piqued our interest because there's some direct relevance for insurance. BCG, as part of their ongoing efforts around identifying modern companies and what's different about them, right? They have this report around where's the value in AI. So they spoke to 1,000 executives, right? CXOs and senior executives across 20 sectors, and looking at the AI maturity across 30 different what they consider foundational capabilities. And these are companies from 59 countries across Asia, Europe, and North America. And, sectors, they included consumer goods and energy and financial services, banking, industrial goods, insurance, so on. So lots of different areas. And out of this survey, what they basically have in this report presented is one is a categorization of companies into quartiles, which they call the AI stagnating companies, the AI emerging companies, the AI scaling companies, and AI future built companies. And the findings in the report are sort of based on this survey. The other thing that's probably just noteworthy real quick is some definitions. So they have provided right in the report, you and I or others may think of these terms differently, but what's relevant is, how the study is using the term. So just
Yeah,
for context.
especially Gen AI is being used a little bit more explicitly. Obviously, the timing of this report is what published in the last 2 to 3 months. So
Yeah,
not surprised.
yeah, that's right. So in any case, right, just I won't bore everybody with reading it out loud, but it's here that AI is broadly all AI, artificial intelligence technology. They distinguish between predictive AI and generative AI.
Yeah,
So with that, just as context, I guess, maybe Sudhir, you can start with what sort of
I
key
think what was
takeaways.
yeah, well, what piqued our interest was the fact that they have an overarching observation for, what's the value of AI across these industries, across these thousands of executives, and and then they dug into the insurance side of it. But what they're finding from their research is that first of all, I think 98% of the companies are at least experimenting with AI, including the definitions we talked about, which is, predictive AI and Gen AI. So obviously, Samir and I were like, what a fascinating journey for Gen AI in the last few years. That it's already everywhere. Maybe not surprising, but only 26% of these companies have developed the necessary capabilities to move beyond the POCs and beginning to extract some sort of a value. So I think that was the first data point, and then there's a subset of 4% of that 26% that they call it as future ready or future built, being at the forefront of AI and innovation and systematically actually leveraging these capabilities to drive both revenue lift as well as cost benefits. So I thought that was an interesting statistic with nearly 100% dabbling with it, but only 26% moving beyond POCs, and then only 4% really truly maximizing value from it. Were you surprised by that?
Yeah, I think the fact that 98% of the companies they included in the survey have been doing something with AI at some level is surprising, right? We've reflected on this, right? We look at other technologies. I mean, not to pick on anyone in particular, but just as an example, would it be the case that 98% of companies have, experimented with cloud technologies? And how long did it take to get to
Correct.
98%?
I think that's the latter. I would say, yeah, it probably took them 10 years, right?
Yeah, yeah. So this is, and it's consistent with the consumer adoption, right? Everybody's seen sort of charts around how quickly OpenAI got to, million user mark, so forth.
That's right.
So companies are not that far behind, right? I guess that's not the surprising part.
Yeah.
The 4% being at the forefront, I would say even that is not that surprising. I would expect kind of a little bit of this distribution, right? And yeah, it's a minority that's at the forefront. It's a minority that's the laggard. Most are in the middle. So the extremes are not surprising, but this part, right, that only 26% have gone beyond proof of concept. It's consistent with my observations in insurance, anyhow. But it's a depressing statistic, I guess. Maybe put it that way.
And I think we will touch
Less
on
so
this.
surprising.
Insurance is also somewhat in line, somewhat with that general average. But I'm also feeling like, yeah, that sounds about right. 25% going more. I'm still looking for that 4% in some of the companies that I work with or talk to. Is like, okay, exactly where is the value being delivered? What use cases are being? So we could debate if 4 is high or low. Maybe insurance is 2%, not 4%, but still it's 2%, right?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, there is a spotlight on insurance where we'll get to that actual comparison. But yeah, so this is one part, right? That is a key finding that caught our attention. Another one, right, is that the leaders, right, these companies that are at the forefront, they are getting sort of significant value compared to everybody else. So maybe right that's again not something surprising, but it's worth noting that there is real value in taking advantage of technology. So where did these companies find advantage? Well, the report has this nice exhibit 1, which shows that there's a 50% higher revenue growth that these leaders have experienced. Their total shareholder return is 60% higher. Their return on invested capital is 40% higher. They have more patents and higher employee satisfaction. So purely on business metrics, the leaders who are taking advantage of AI technologies come out ahead compared to the rest.
And I guess that this is where I think you were when we were preparing for this. You were saying, "Hey, just because it came out of BCG or just because it came out of a survey, it's by no means it's a declarative or it's not in many ways. It's not like that. It is a given." Proven and that we should all take it as an absolute, but I guess there's a little bit of there could be some level of bias in this or favorable responses in these, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's true of any kind of survey that you have to be skeptical of it because it doesn't identify any kind of causal relationship. It's simply representing of what was observed. So, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, right? I think it's appropriate to note that well, out of these companies surveyed, they did experience benefits if they were in the leader group.
Yeah, I think that revenue lift is also something that they're hitting home, right? Cost takeout, efficiencies has always been in the play with data and analytics and AI and machine learning and all of that stuff. But now adding Gen AI to this mix, maybe more so on the revenue side. Now I see like 50% higher revenue growth. I mean, that's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess the
So
more interesting discussion will be like, okay, what the hell are these guys doing differently, right?
yeah, definitely. I think there is something to be learned there. So at least in this report, they've identified sort of 6 characteristics that were different between the leaders and the rest. And folks can read the full report. In fact, I would highly recommend that insurance tech leaders familiarize themselves with this. But just for purposes of our conversation here, I found 3 or 4 of them that were noteworthy. So the first one, right, is that the leaders are focusing on core business processes, not just support functions. And
Right.
the reason this is just noteworthy for me is that it's not about let me dabble with tools and let me see experiment on the periphery where the risk is low and maybe I'm not going to do a lot of damage to my core business, because the findings are to the contrary, that folks that got most value, in fact, embraced this and applied it to core business functions.
And I think it makes sense to me, just logically thinking about it. Like if you are only focused on support functions, it will always remain a cost play for you, right? You will take cost out, but you may or may not be able to at least directly impact revenue. But the moment you come into the core of your business, whatever it is, right? Product development, distribution, or in the case of insurance, underwriting or claims or whatnot, I think you're going to automatically see impact on the top line. And so I think it resonates.
Yeah, and that is a nice segue to the next observation that these leaders, they have focused their efforts not only on AI as a productivity and efficiency play, but also to generate revenue and grow revenue. Which again, right, these go hand in hand, but
Yeah, I think that's good.
worth
And then
noting. Yeah, third noteworthy thing for me was that the leaders have picked 1, 2, 3 key initiatives rather than spread themselves thin across many initiatives. So they've been strategic about identifying which are the opportunities to pursue, and then they've doubled down on just focusing on those.
Although it's interesting that the last bullet on the last sentence on that part, I was a little bit confused about that. That it says leaders scale twice as many AI products and services across their organization. Um, and this is one of those things that it's good to give us an advice and say, hey, take few high priority ones and scale it. But I wish everybody knew what their high priority ones are before they start it, right? Sometimes you never know until you actually take 5 different paths to figure out, like, which one will yield the highest value.
Yeah. I mean, that's the case, and I think the other thing embedded in that is a little bit of the flywheel effect, right? That you focus on only a few, but because you focus, you're able to go faster, and in the end, you end up doing more, as compared to you try to do all at once, and then you really don't get far with any of them, or maybe only a few of them.
Yeah.
So then the fourth one, right, that was noteworthy is that the leaders have focused on people and process more than technology and algorithms. And it's not, again, that these are absolute, that you neglect technology and algorithms, but it's 70% of the focus on people and process, 20% on technology and data, and 10% on algorithms.
I think this phrase and paragraph will remain forever in every report and every survey, at least about disruptive technology and impact.
Yeah, at least from us consultants, right?
That's right.
But
That's right.
yeah, I mean, we always say people, process, technology in that order, right? That's where you should focus. So it's certainly in line with that.
Yeah, and I think it's important to highlight the piece that you have at the bottom is it's intuitively I was also thinking about this and say, okay, you have thousands of these companies across different segments, and you got these 4% or 6% both combined, leaders. I assume, like, well, there's going to be the Googles of the world and the Amazons of the world and the Microsoft of the world, but I think they are very prudent to call out that not all of those AI leaders are actually what you would intuitively think as these innovative companies, but actually more traditional companies are also in this bucket, and so that should be a good validation for our audience that not. It's not all about these hyperscalers.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for me, it's a two-parter here, right? So part one is that in order to take advantage of increasingly modern technologies, we must keep ourselves modern, right? We need to keep ourselves up to date with technology, have good processes in place, good skill set in place, good data in place. Then we're able to exploit the opportunities, right, that present themselves. So good news is once we're positioned ourselves to do it, then it doesn't matter whether I'm a digital native or not. I could be a 150-year-old company and still gain huge advantages.
Yeah. We still
So
should have started early and should have had some legwork and foundational work in place to fully take advantage of everything. So, well, for sure, I think where you are in the journey matters.
yeah. I mean, the Chinese proverb certainly applies, right? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So absolutely, there is hope.
Yeah.
So if we move past, right, the sort of what are leaders doing differently, right? Maybe a few more observations around
Sure.
where companies have focused and how they got some value.
Yeah. No, but this chart also is an interesting one to just take a minute to ponder on. Is as BCG laid out this core business process impact versus support function impact of AI. It's interesting to see insurance actually bubble up to the top and near the top with the software and media. And while you will see the traditional players like a power and a utility company or chemicals or oil and gas at the bottom. So I'm not again surprised, but insurance is more closer to it. But I think it echoes the sentiment that we've always been sharing in our podcast, right, Samir, and hopefully our audience will understand that insurance from day one has been a data business and a prediction business, and the fact that companies focusing on the core business processes of insurance 77% of the time, or 77% of the cases, I guess. I'm really thrilled to see that, and it just resonates well with me.
Yeah, I would agree with it. At some level, it's heartening to see it. At the same time, it's not a surprise that the opportunity space is significant in core processes, and maybe we can quickly touch on what do the authors in this report mean by core processes.
Of course.
Yeah, so
There you go.
I mean, there is this fact sheet for insurance in here. They've identified, right, customer service and policy admin, claims, underwriting, product management, and marketing. So these are the core functions. Anything to do with IT, HR, legal, procurement, finance, that's what they consider the support functions.
Yeah, so I think it's an interesting page to stop and perhaps again react to this. Is although insurance is at the top in terms of the split between core versus support function. In general, the AI maturity curve, at least through the survey data, AI value derived, I think insurance is kind of somewhat slightly a tad bit above the global average. Were you surprised by that, or do you think it's maybe even ambitious to put them on the above average?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't really have direct experience with all these other sectors, so it's hard for me to kind of have any, what do you call it, objective comparison. Anecdotally, it feels about right. As I work with the companies that, there's a lot of talk around it, not as much doing. The doing that
That's why
is
I'm saying
there is
even
more
anecdotally,
around
I would push
dabbling
them even
rather than
down.
anything.
Yeah.
Sorry?
No. I was just saying, even anecdotally, I was saying if maybe they are even below average a little bit, uh,
Yeah,
if not above the average. Yeah.
that's right. The
But I
other
mean,
thing,
you and
right?
I have
Maybe
talked
just
about
to
this.
other thing to just quickly note, right? Is earlier you were commenting around, so across the study, 4% of companies were future AI future built. In insurance, it's only 2. But on the other hand, what the report considers leaders in insurance, 27% leaders compared to 26% um,
Correct.
across
So
all of
so
them.
AI future built is 2 versus 4. So clearly there's less of them at the top. Um, but it sounds like at least majority of them are in the middle, smack middle, emerging, right? So probably more than
Yeah,
average is in the middle.
yeah,
Um, and I'm also not surprised by the core business functions listed and somewhat the split between policy servicing and claims topping the list. I mean, under claims underwriting and policy servicing topping the list. Um, again, like I said, I think AI predictive analytics has always been there. The Gen AI, as the report described, is more around the generative part. I haven't seen a whole lot of use cases emerge in those core pieces around underwriting and claims and policy servicing around Gen AI from a generative part. But I think there's scope for product management and marketing and some of the sales functions around generative part. So I do agree with that.
yeah. Um, I guess it's great to kind of note what has happened and what was different. Um, it's probably also useful to a little bit talk about, well, if you are in that 75% or 74% of the cohort that has not gone beyond um, proof of concepts, right? What can one do? And so, not to disappoint, right? The report does have what they call a playbook for winning with AI. I chuckle a little bit because some of it, right, feels like stating the obvious. Uh, but on the other hand, right, I think it's appropriate to state the obvious because, in fact, if it's so obvious, why is 74% of the cohort not gone beyond a proof of concept? Uh,
No, I think there's some insightful findings at least, right? That kind of prioritizes where the challenges are, and to the extent that we can at least, air the challenges, and hopefully our audience will be like, yes, those are the same challenges that they're dealing with. At least it, will resonate for them. But I think we should touch on at least some highlights on what they should do about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so like I think along the lines of the findings, right? So the report calls out that leaders have focused on people and process more, and technology next, and algorithms the least. So to that extent, I think this exhibit 6 here is noteworthy, right? That sure, AI, think about, I need better models and I need better analytics and all this stuff, but that's 8% of
Still only 8%.
the 8% of the value. And you just look here around, if you can improve your change management, you get more lift from that than having a better algorithm. And along those lines, right, you just can go down the list here: change management, product development, adoption of emerging tech, roles and responsibilities, process reimagination, right? All these aspects have to do with improving skill and having better processes. This is where most of the lift is. I don't
I
know if
think
any
so.
of this is surprising to you.
No, it's not surprising, but what I think is enlightening is the way at least data is provided here to stack change management. Again, no surprise, right? For sure, but in my humble opinion, is solvable problem, right? Unlike, imagine if they were saying that, well, model quality is the biggest problem. Well, then everybody would be like, okay, we'll just wait for the model qualities to get better. But
Yeah,
they're probably getting better faster than anyone, but change management is holding us back. And then same thing with there's another line item there outside of change management around roles and responsibilities. Again, within the realm of what organizational leaders should be able to tackle. The idea of AI talent has been something that I've been fascinated with because it just exacerbates the problem that you and I have already acknowledged in our podcast series, is that I think insurance in general, I think is seeing a talent drain on one end for several reasons, and then not enough for talent refill on the other end.
yeah.
On top of that, if prompt engineering should be part of your job description, I wonder how many people would qualify for that job.
Yeah. No, definitely the case. So my takeaway right from this again, right, is that look, if these things are so obvious, then why don't we see the needle move, right? Only 74%, 74% are just still doing POCs. So clearly, the knowledge gap is not the issue. Interestingly, right, I think the report, because it has this fact sheet on insurance, they are providing some hints, right, as to where the challenges are for insurance, right? So, and again, unsurprisingly, they identify a lot of challenges having to do with people and processes. So, don't expect that this is sort of a panacea of, in any ways, right, that this broadly applies to everybody. But I do think there's hints in here for every organization to look at, how much of this applies to me and my organization, and where can I focus more?
Insufficient AI literacy is the top people problem for insurance companies when it comes to generating value for from AI. Um, yeah,
It
I
is, yeah. I mean, it's more than access to reliable models, more than ability to integrate a model with other IT systems. It's literacy and how to prioritize better, how to establish the ROI on something that you're pursuing. These have more impact, they pose more challenges than any of the other.
Samir, another one that's
So,
fascinating is the difficulty reimagining workflows and processes. I think that has always been the case. Like remember when we started moving from green screen to client server apps to digital to mobile to user interface has always evolved. Back office processes have evolved. Now, it's all assumed that people will just use a computer to, type in or use a traditional computer to provide information or take information. But what if everything is just a conversational interface, like the way that all of the consumer interfaces are changing to? And what if
yeah.
everything is natural language processing based, normal language based instructions versus computer programs?
Yeah. I mean, definitely, I see that. I've seen it over the years, and it continues to be sort of challenging to think about your business differently and think about your processes differently.
Yeah, I think that brings us to perhaps a final round of comment on this and a wrap up.
Yeah. I think, look, just to kind of maybe summarize, I would say it's been a useful sort of report to look at. It did bring up, some questions around why they picked insurance. The other one they picked was biopharma, right? So of all the industries they studied in the report, they've provided a fact sheet for these two. I did reach out to the authors of the study. Looks like they weren't able to join us or provide any responses to our questions. So it remains, unclear why they picked insurance, but I'm glad they did, because otherwise the report probably would not have, piqued my curiosity as much as it did.
100%.
Um,
100%.
So, just kind of summarizing the takeaways, right? The opportunity space is there. It's ripe with advantages for those that can benefit from it. Right now, it's a minority that is taking true advantage. And to take true advantage, focus on the core processes of your business. Focus on revenue generation as much as, if not more than, thinking of AI as a cost and efficiency, cost containment and efficiency play. And get yourself ready for embracing modern tech, because it's only then that you can take advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great summary. Thank you for summarizing, Samir. So we'll put the link on our podcast descriptions, and hopefully people can read in. And if anyone has any follow-up comments or deeper insights, would love to possibly explore this offline or possibly on another episode. But with that, thank you for joining us, and continue to support and engage with us in all channels. Like, comment, subscribe, and talk to you all in the next episode.
And that's a wrap for today's conversation on PremiumBytes, where we shine a light on the unsung world of insurance technology leaders. Thank you for joining us on this adventure and being part of our community. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and follow us. Until next time, take care.